You know how most places manage maintenance, right? It's all about firefighting, just running from one crisis to the next. But what if I told you that most of those fires, well, they're completely preventable? In this explainer, we're going to break down how to shift your mindset and make reliability a real strategic business decision. So let's get started by challenging a core belief most of us have about equipment failure.
Okay, I know, this statement might seem a little wild at first, but it's the absolute truth of what we're talking about today. It reframes breakdowns not as some random bit of bad luck, but as the predictable outcome of the systems we have in place. Or, more often, the systems we don't have in place. It's really all about taking ownership.
So, how do we start choosing reliability? Well, first we've got to recognize the chaos we're all trying to get away from. I'm going to bet this next scene is going to feel pretty familiar to a lot of you.
Picture this. It's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. Production is already behind schedule. And then, bam! The main press just goes down. Suddenly, the plant manager's pacing, staring at their watch, operators are standing around with nothing to do, and your maintenance team is scrambling for a part that you don't even have in stock. Man, it feels like a total surprise, doesn't it? But it's not.
Here's the key thing to wrap your head around. That failure didn't just happen in that moment. No way. It was set in motion weeks, maybe even months ago, by the maintenance decisions we made, or more importantly, the ones we didn't make. And that right there, that is the fundamental shift in thinking that changes the whole game.
It really boils down to two different worlds you can live in. On one side, you've got the reactive world. It's just full of surprises, constant firefighting, and really high costs. But on the other side, you've got the RCM world. That's reliability-centered maintenance. And in that world, you have choices, you have a strategy, and you know what? You have profit.
Okay, so the big question is, how do we get out of the world of firefighting and into the world of strategy? Well, the system for that is called reliability-centered maintenance.
So what is RCM really? At its heart, it's just a structured way to figure out the absolute best maintenance plan for any piece of equipment. But here's the secret sauce, the thing that makes it so powerful. It's all about prioritizing by the consequence of a failure.
And look, this isn't some new management fad that's going to disappear next year. RCM was born in the aviation industry. We're talking about an environment with the highest possible stakes. I mean, think about it. When a part fails at 30,000 feet, you can't exactly pull over and call a tow truck. This proves it's a system built for stuff that absolutely, positively cannot fail.
So that all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually mean for you on the plant floor on a Monday morning? How do we take this high-level idea and apply it to our actual machines? It all kicks off with something called a failure mode and effects analysis, or FMEA. Now don't worry about the fancy name, it's actually a really simple process. You get the team together, the operators, the mechanics, the people who know the machine best, and you just ask a few simple questions. How can this machine break? What causes it to break in that way? And, the most important question of all, how bad is it when it does?
Here is the perfect example. A light bulb burns out in the break room. Is that a failure? Sure, but the consequence? It's basically zero. Nobody really cares. But what if the primary drive motor on your bottleneck line fails? That isn't just a failure. That is a catastrophic event for the company's bottom line. RCM forces us to spend our limited time, money, and energy where it matters most on that second problem, not the first one.
Okay, so now we know what to focus on. So let's dive into the how. Once you know what's critical, you got to pick the right strategy to protect it.
You know, so many of us were taught to just follow the manual, right? Change the oil every 6 months, replace the belt once a year. But what RCM teaches us is that a lot of failures, maybe even most of them, they just don't care about the calendar. They're random. So, if you're only relying on time-based maintenance, you're not just being inefficient, you're basically flying blind.
So let's break down our main options. First, you've got your standard time-based maintenance. This is great for stuff that has a really predictable wear-out period, kind of like the tires on your car. Then, there's condition-based maintenance. This is more like going to the doctor for a checkup. We use data, like vibration analysis or oil samples, to let the machine tell us when it's starting to get sick. And finally, there's run to failure, where we make a conscious, strategic choice to just let something break.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Run to failure? That sounds crazy. It makes a lot of old-school maintenance folks really uncomfortable. But think about it for a second. If a part is super cheap, it's easy to replace, and its failure doesn't stop production, why would you spend hundreds of dollars in labor every single year just to inspect it? See, run to failure isn't about neglect. It's a smart, deliberate strategy that frees up your best people for the work that truly matters.
Now that we have our strategies, let's connect all this directly to the business scoreboard, because this is where maintenance stops being a necessary evil and starts becoming a real competitive advantage.
So just how much does this really matter to the bottom line? Well, study after study shows the same thing. An unplanned failure costs 3 to 5 times more than doing the exact same repair on a planned basis. Just let that sink in for a second. 3 to 5 times.
When you plan a job, the cost is pretty simple. It's basically parts and labor. But an unplanned failure? Oh man, now you're paying for emergency overnight shipping on parts, you've got lost production, you're paying operators to stand around, you might even miss customer shipments. The costs just spiral out of control.
And here's the best part. When you get this right, your department stops being seen as just a cost center. You become a reliability engine. You're not just fixing things anymore, you are actively protecting the company's profitability. You're making sure it can keep its promises to its customers.
So, what can you do, like tomorrow morning, to get this started? I want to leave you with a simple challenge. First, get your team together and identify the top 5 machines that would absolutely shut you down if they died. Second, pull up your current maintenance plan for those machines. And third, ask the really tough question. Are the things we're doing actually preventing the most likely and severe failures, or are we just checking boxes?
Because at the end of the day, it all comes back to this one idea. You can keep living in a world of chaotic, expensive surprises, or you can build a system that allows you to choose reliability. And as we've seen, that choice is entirely yours.
Thank you for watching the videos and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the content, ring the bell and like and subscribe. If you want to learn more about operations management, check out the books at the links in the description below.